And as she was running, she was shouting, "I have heard the words of the gods. I have heard the words of the gods." There were 3 kingdoms shared among men and favored by the gods. There were peace and harmony within these 3 kingdoms until a great evil awakened from the depth of the great river in the village of Okodu. And that great evil seeks to destroy the 3 kingdoms made by the gods. In the beginning, the rulers of men above the clouds made men and a place for them to dwell, and they shared the lands among themselves. These lands were known as Anaku, the kingdom of Ijele, the goddess who watched over that land, and Zambuza, the kingdom of Oba Oko, the god who watched over that land, and Obala, the kingdom of Omata, the goddess who watched over that land. However, before this creation, a great evil was locked in the depth of a great river, never to see the light again. The kingdom of Okodu was found by men who left their villages in search for good herbs for medicine, and other men who left their village with their wives to seek a new path, and they multiplied on that land, and out of them men and women were born. And they named the land Okodu, the land where this great evil sleeps. In the village of Anaku, there lived a humble woman who offers offerings to the deity of her land every first market days for blessings and for fruit of the womb. She has never given birth since she was married, and she took it in her heart to always carry out these offerings with the hope that God may bless her with a child. One evening, a man named Abiola was fishing in the river of Okodu when he heard echoes of sounds coming from the waters, and the vibration of the waters was like the rumbling of fishes. And he moved closely to the water when he saw a big fish. Its size is like that of a grown antelope. Being surprised, he quickly threw his hook to catch it, and suddenly he was pulled into the river by the fish. And with a blink of the eyes at first glance, he found himself standing before a strange being whose appearance was like that of man and beast. His eyes was like the colors of red and white. His face was as dark as charcoal. On his head were 2 mighty horns, and the being spoke words unto him with a voice that sounded like the rumbling of many waters. "I am he who dwells in this river. I speak, and the waters obey, and everything in it bows before me. And so shall you obey, for you shall carry out my biddings. You shall bring 50 souls of your kind, man and woman, and 50 from the beasts of the earth. For I shall take them and regain my strength, and take back my place among the gods." But however, the 3 kingdoms the dark being was talking about are the 3 kingdoms shared among the rulers of men. And the dark being stretched forth his hand and placed it on the man's chest, and gave him a great power, a power that no man among the 3 villages could have. Even the witch doctors of the lands cannot bear such power, for it was great. And suddenly the river brought him out of its belly, and his strength multiplied to that of 10 men combined. The dark being did not only give him powers, but took over his body as well, so that he can do his bidding. When Abiola got home, his wife wondered why his body was wet with water and cold like ice. However, his reaction was terrible. He shouted at his wife with his body full of rage in power, and suddenly his wife fell on her knees and begged for his forgiveness and never to question his movement again. And later at night, Abiola's wife was awake all through the night as she was thinking about how her husband Abiola shouted at her, because she has never seen him in such state before. And from that night, Abiola transformed from being an ordinary man, and he became proud of himself, feeling high and mighty. When the village of Okodu was found, the villagers who left their village begged and sought the wisdom of the gods, and they were given a great staff and statue for them to carry along for prayers and protection. However, during Abiola's days of might, he sought the statues and staff of the gods to enable him take over the 3 kingdoms as he had planned. When he approached the guardians of the staff, he said, "I have come, O you unwise ones of the gods." As he spoke these words to the chief priest of the land, who is the messenger of the gods, he shouted at once, "Silence, or receive the wrath of the gods. How dare you speak of such manner to their messenger? And the elders who was with the chief priest was in deep surprise, as no one has ever dared to speak to the messenger of the gods in such manner, for the fear the punishment will be severe. And Abiola said, I have come for the staff and the statue of the gods, for they are not worthy to be with you. I shall cast them into the sea, and its power shall be no more. Anyone who shall be against me shall be the first to be taken. And suddenly the chief priest stretched forth the staff of power, and immediately lightnings came out of the staff towards the direction of Abiola. And as Abiola was caught with the lightning, he started saying some incantations. As he finished his incantations, a dark spirit appeared before him and absorbed all the lightnings. And the dark spirit yelled with a thunderous voice, and suddenly the chief priest transformed into a fruit. And the dark spirit collected the fruit, and it disappeared. And the elders, after seeing what has happened, they became afraid, and they all bowed before Abiola as he took the staff of the gods. And Abiola said, O ye unwise elders of Okodu, I am the new messenger of the new God. There will be no more worship to the old gods, for Oduma, the great god, has returned. And after that moment, Adaku woke up from sleep in the village of Anaku. That night, she had a nightmare of a man holding the staff of the gods and saying the name Oduma, a name that no one should speak. Before the beginning of time, Oduma was once the most powerful gods. He dwells above the skies, far beyond any gods, but however, he drank from the forbidden waters in the skies, and he was corrupted with darkness, and is seek to rule over the gods by himself with his great power. But however, three of the great gods, known as Ijele, Oba Oku, and Obala, they joined their minds together and banished him into the great deep and sealed him under the waters, never to see the light again, as darkness and light cannot be together. When Adaku woke up, she was afraid, and as she was shaking, her husband got up after hearing noises in their room. He immediately went to his wife and asked what was going on. Adaku, his wife, told him about the dreams she had, and after Tobina, her husband, finished hearing her dreams, he then told his wife, do not worry, tomorrow we shall visit the high priest and tell him to interpret these dreams of yours. And he calmed his wife and put her to sleep. The next morning, Tobina took his wife to see the high priest of the village of Anaku, and when they arrived at his shrine, the priest checked her dreams, and as he rolled the kola-nuts on the ground, he knew immediately trouble was coming, and he started walking in circles and saying some incantations out of his mouth. He then said to Adaku, woman, the gods are wise, the gods are wise. And he said these words twice to Adaku and told her to go home. A week after, the land of Anaku began to experience hardship. There was famine in the land, and the elders all gathered together and announced that any man and woman with children should be separated from those who does not have children, and they arranged food and supplies for them so they can feed their young ones. And they told those without children to go to other villages to trade their belongings for food, as the children's well-being is the most important in the village. As they made this announcement, Adaku felt pain in her heart, and she became sad because she had no child. And she became jealous after seeing children with their mother gathering in the village to collect food supplies. And tears began to drop from her eyes. She was crying, not knowing the reason she hasn't gave birth to a child. And as people was gathering in the village, Adaku, Tobena's wife, ran quickly to the temple of the gods, and she began to cry and pray for a child. And as she was crying, a voice came out of thin air, saying, dry up your tears, child, and listen carefully, for what you must do is holy, so that the words of the holy ones shall come to pass. For 3 weeks you shall not know any man, for you shall keep yourself holy, for a holy one shall come through you. Go to the holy river and wash yourself clean, and it shall be done. And after these statements, the temple was silent, and Adaku became so afraid, and she started running back home. And as she was running, she was shouting, I have heard the words of the gods, I have heard the words of the gods. And the villagers were just staring at her, as they thought she had gone mad. At night time, Adaku slept on the floor. She refused to join her husband Tobina on the bed, and this became a problem for them. The next morning, Adaku quickly went to the river to bath before anyone could reach there, and she took a bath just as the voice instructed her. That afternoon, Tobina went to one of his friends and complained to him that his wife Adaku refused to join him on the bed, and his friend asked, "Do you think she has started seeing another man and she thinks the reason she has not been able to get pregnant is because of you?" However, Tobina said, "I do not know." Later that day, when Tobina got home, his wife Adaku told him the gods had spoken to her and instructed her not to be with any man for 3 weeks, for a holy one shall come through her. And Tobina, after hearing what his wife said, he asked, "What gods, and where did you see them?" And his wife said, "I was in the temple when I heard a mysterious voice talking to me. It was real." And Tobina asked, "What were you doing in the temple?" And Adaku replied, "I was praying." However, Tobina refused to believe his wife's words because in the village of Anaku, the gods only speak to the high priest. And that night, in the land of Ogodu, Abiola had a vision. He saw a female newborn child crying at birth. Her eyes was like the color of white and blue. Her hair was white as wool. Her skin was dark like her mother's. When he woke up, he began to wonder why he had such a vision. And suddenly, a dark spirit appeared in front of him and told him to capture all newborn child from the 3 villages, for a child will be born, and that child has the power to end his supremacy.